Good evening, board members, Chairman Shaw, and Superintendent Fenoy. I've had the opportunity to work with almost everybody here on the board. Superintendent Fenoy, we haven't formally met, but I'm sure we'll be working together in the coming months. I'm first and foremost a proud parent. All my kids have gone to public schools here in Palm Beach County. I'm also a proud volunteer board member for two amazing charter schools here in Palm Beach County. Imagine Chancellor Charter School in Boynton Beach, who's proud to be an A once again, and Glades Academy in Pahokee, which has become one of the shining stars of schools out in the Pahokee area, and we're very proud of the work that school and that staff has done and the teachers have done. I'm also a former candidate for the Palm Beach County School Board. And I'm a 15-year advocate for education here in Palm Beach County. And I always like to remind everyone that I'm an advocate as a volunteer, not as a paid spokesman. I have done this for 15 years, probably close to 10,000 hours of volunteer time over the last 15 years and never taken a penny. This board has responsibilities for every student in Palm Beach County. That's traditional public school students, public charter school students, private school students, and homeschool students. You have a fiduciary responsibility to make sure that federal funding and even state funding makes it to every one of these groups, including IDEA funding, which we've talked about in the past. You have responsibility to make sure that those students are in school, truancy, and all the rest. In 2014, I was asked to support the 0.25 millage. I was a candidate at the time. I've never been a fan of higher taxes, but I absolutely supported this because it was a continuation of the tax. It supported our teachers. It supported our teachers in the arts. It supported the physical education teachers. This is a big ask. From a 0.25 millage to a full millage is a 300% tax increase. That is a big ask to ask every homeowner in Palm Beach County to pay, and then selectively say which ones would not be equitably distributed between all the schools and all the students. We need to be equitable for every student in Palm Beach County. You have responsibilities for every student in Palm Beach County, and we need to be equitable across the board. Thank you for your time and letting me to speak and advocate for every student in Palm Beach County. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Font?
Good evening, everybody. Representing my child. I'm a dad. I lived in District 3, and my son's attending Bridge Prep Academy of Palm Beach. And before I begin with my prepared comments, I just want to say thank you for the efforts all of you have made to making this school district an A-rated school district. It's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of complaints that all of you get. I completely understand that, but I'd like to formally thank you in front of everybody here of the work that's been done this past year, and hopefully we replicate the A rating again. African Americans plus 13%, Hispanics plus 5%. What do these numbers represent? According to the Department of Education, this is a statistical gap that documented in 2014 of students enrolled in charter schools versus traditional public schools. Perhaps marginalized by socioeconomic factors, charter schools have empowered families. The empowerment to make a choice for hardworking middle-class families that don't have the luxury of paying for private schools, a choice for single moms, single dads, to open a door of opportunity for their children, a choice for parents to increase their children's future probability to succeed in an increasingly evolving world, requiring quick adjustments and sharp-making decision-making capabilities to compete and excel. Charter schools anywhere are a politically charged topic of itself. I get it. But why marginalize charter schools from an upcoming funding resolution? And this was crafted by a well-respected Greenberg-Traurig attorney with 40 years of experience. But according to Greenberg-Traurig's website, Elliot Shurker was involved with the public-private financing of a new Marlins baseball stadium. So why wouldn't he recommend public-private partnership in this case? What exposure does this current wording have for parents and their kids if, God forbid, the premises of a charter school get compromised? What's the difference between a public school and a charter school? My son is the same as a public school son. I was a public school student. My dad was a public school dad, but now I'm a charter school dad. Now I don't see the difference. So I'm hoping that everybody has an inclusive strategy to this safety funding resolution that you're having, to close the funding inequity that this would create, and disavow the politics of marginalizing. In my opinion, charter schools should be included. I'm requesting your support. Just as some of you or most people come to my door asking for their vote, I'm knocking on your door right now. I'm asking for your support. Whose side are you on? I'm hoping that with this resolution, including charter schools, it closes the funding equity and you ensure a learning environment as every Palm Beach County child should be entitled to. So I'm going to close off with this. From the palm trees in Mar-a-Lago to the sugar fields in Belle Glade, every student counts. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mrs. Hughes.
Yes, good evening. Thank you, everyone. I am a Bridge Prep employee and also a parent, and I would like to address the same issue. As a parent and educator, we need to focus on preventing tragedy from happening again in public or charter schools. We need to remain dedicated and unified on that matter and do what's the best for our children. Both public and charter schools are tuition-free schools, and they need to benefit from this massive reform, which would give peace of mind to many parents, children, and educators, knowing that all children, our children, are safe is doing the right thing. And there should be no boundaries, monetary as well, when it comes down to their safety. Governor Rick Scott stated that his goal is, with the support of all around the state and around the country, that Florida will be the state where parents could say, my child can go to school safely and come home safely. As a taxpayer and a charter school employee and a parent, I'm happy to contribute to his goal. But also, I would like an equal access to the resources from the School Safety Initiative. We, as a society, need to be focused on kids' well-being, regardless of whether they are attending public or charter schools. Let's have no regrets for the choices that we make today. These are our kids and our future, and we need to do what's the best for our children. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you. Mr. Benz.
Okay, push it. I'm Andy Benz. I'm retired as the Director of FT and Student Reporting in Palm Beach County. Did that for many years and worked here for a long time. So most of you I know. And I'm currently the board chair of Palm Beach Maritime Academy. I want to talk a little bit about when I worked here. When I worked here, I was in charge of reporting all the student data that went to the state. The only difference between a charter school student and a regular school student was the school number. That's it. There's one data element in the file, the school number the kid goes to, that tells you that kid is different. These kids are all public school students. When he made a mistake down there when he said he was a parent of a charter school. No, he's a public school parent because they are public schools and they are to be funded in an equitable manner. Now, in being on the board I'm on, you know, they brought me in there because there was some financial challenges, which we've gotten under control. We're currently in just as a challenge to balance, you know, how to pay for the additional security or pay for the additional custodial stuff that we have to pay for. I did an analysis because, you know, I'm a numbers guy. I teach school finance, and I know a lot about the funding in Florida. And Currently, in this proposal, the district's going to get about $960 per student if they share it with the charter schools. If they don't share it with the charter schools, the district ends up with $1,073 per student. One of the things that they've talked about is providing additional salaries to teachers. At Palm Beach Maritime, and at most of the other charter schools, I'm sure, we have to pay equivalent salaries to keep the teachers, because if we pay them less, they're going to go work for the district. So I did an analysis of a thing I saw in the paper about how they were going to fund it. If they provided the supplements of $1,000, $5,000, and $10,000, which I saw an article in the paper about, that would immediately cost us $385,000 to implement, using the fourth calculation from this year and using the 2017 tax roll. So it would immediately, there's no way we could pay for that. Additionally, this year, for our school safety costs, we have to eat 81, our school safety costs now have gone up $6.50 an hour. We're paying for 6,300 hours of security because I'm running 2 campuses, and our cost has gone up by $40,000. So, granted, I understand the state didn't give us enough money. They didn't provide across the board enough money to the state to fund school safety. But with that, in the paying the teacher salaries, the charter schools won't be able to compete because the teachers are going to leave us. And if the teachers leave us, then the kids leave us. And it's effective. It's pretty bad. This money needs to be shared across all charter schools. There's already been a case up in Indian River County that supported that. So I strongly suggest that they take the wording out and put public school students, because charter schools are public school students, and leave it at that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Superintendent Fenoy, and board members. Today, as I come before you, and most of you I know personally, I'm a former public school teacher, football coach for 18 years in Miami-Dade. I'm a former legislator, and I also represent about 11,000 of the charter school students here in Palm Beach County. And what we have today is a difference of opinion. And number one, I would never question the motives of anybody on this board on how they would vote on this issue today. I would ask you, as you look at this issue, and who I represent, that if I voted to support this millage the way you worded it today, I would be creating a second-class kind of student in the county of Palm Beach. And I could not, I could not support that. I would want to support the issue, and I would want to be able to be a partner with you as you go to the polls in November, because there's going to be a campaign, like Mr. Katz stated. All you're doing is giving the voters an opportunity. We have never challenged your right as a board to go to the courts to seek relief on charter school legislation that you felt was unfair. You've done that. We have publicly supported you in that. I hate to say this, and we live in a country, like I think I went to the same dentist, Ms. McQuinn, about being nice. We live in a country that we can agree to disagree. And I would hope that we could always agree to disagree in a respectful manner. And I think that we've done that. As I talked to you about the legal expenses, how much money has this district spent going to court to challenge charter school legislation? And look, I'm not a numbers guy like Andy Binns, and I haven't done a public information request to ask this, but it might be close to $1 million. And you've lost every single case. And the courts have upheld the position of charter schools as public schools. So I ask you, number one, to change the language. Number two, I believe that all public school students means all public school students. I would hate to enter in the next, 120 days of an election, that we would be on opposite sides of an issue. And we would be put in a position, many parents, over 30,000 parents send their kids to charter school. And please always remember, and I say this every time I go anywhere, they only exist because a parent chooses to send their child there every day. It's not a one-time decision. It's an everyday decision. Even with Eagle Arts, which I propose of closing it because of the mismanagement that was taking place, parents still kept sending their kids. My question is, what was being offered there by those teachers that those parents still, in the middle of all that mess, still kept doing that? So, Dr. Robinson, I have so much respect for you when it comes to outspoken nature to fight for the underdog. You know, I'm here today to fight for the underdog, and that's all the public school students who attend charter schools. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello. Linda Terranova, principal and founder of Western Academy Charter School in Royal Palm Beach. I'm sure, as you know, Western Academy is an A-rated, high-performing charter school, and we are the only five-star charter school in Palm Beach County. I say this to remind the board that despite what we've been seeing in the news of late, there are high-rated charter schools in this district who are doing the right thing for students each and every day. Our success as an A school is your success in this district, and our students are public school students in this county. There are 500 students at Western Academy whose parents voted and elected for school board members sitting in front of me today to represent all public school students, including their children. Our school parents are tax-paying citizens who this school board will be asking to pay quadruple the tax under this referendum, yet you are willingly and intentionally excluding their children from benefiting from this increased tax revenue. The tax dollars, you have said, will be spent for school safety, to pay for fine arts teachers, and to pay, and to pay for teacher salaries. The district is asking to go from $50 million in revenue from this millage to approximately $200 million, and yet you are purposefully not willing to share just 10% of that public's tax revenue with a select segment of public school district students. You are knowingly discriminating against charter school students just because they are attending a public school of choice. As a taxpayer and a citizen, I find this outrageous, and as a school administrator, I find it inexcusable. You were elected by the people in your respective districts to represent all public school students, and that includes charter school students. You are intentionally not doing so. You are discriminating against a group of children because they attend a public charter school. I took the liberty of looking up the professional standards section on the district website, and I'd like to read to this board what you have stated in your professional standards approach here in the district. And I quote, "Our team of experts approach our jobs with a genuine respect for what it means to be a public employee. Fairness, equity, and due process aren't just words for us. These are the tenets that set the foundation for every aspect of our profession," unquote. I present to this board today that you are not being fair, that you are not being equitable in this referendum, and you are not living up to these very professional standards that you have committed yourselves to uphold. I request that you reconsider and change the language within this referendum to include the public charter school students who are under your sponsorship and who, like all other students in this district, deserve school security, they deserve fine arts teachers, and they deserve to be treated fairly and equitably. I ask you to do the right thing and include public charter school students in this tax referendum. Thank you.
Thank you.
Superintendent, school board members, Lynn Norman Tech, I was called earlier, and I wasn't going to speak because we had a group of teachers and principals who were so well-spoken and represented their charter schools, their public charter schools. But I had to come up just to clarify some information that this district school teacher gave you, and the facts are this. Charter schools have been in Florida for over 20 years. They are a vital part of the public education system in this state. They're right there with your magnet programs and your amazing public schools and the academies within those schools and your neighborhood schools. Charter school teachers are certified teachers. It is in state statute. Charter schools do follow the law. In fact, charter schools have more accountability than a district-run school. Why? Because 2 consecutive failing grades is automatic closure. And this is something we've always supported, because if you're not serving the students, let's move on. Let's go to another school. There's also accountability measures for capital outlay and that facility funding. 2 consecutive Ds will withhold your capital funding from the state. And I have worked with plenty of charter school offices and districts across the state that will withhold funding from a school and withhold that stream if that school is not doing something properly. And again, that's something that the movement and every teacher and principal that is in here will support. This is not about for-profit nor profit. This is about parental choice and a movement that is strong and is growing and very much part of the state and very much part of every community. This is about parental choice. And those are the parents that pay taxes, that vote, and they vote every day where to send their child. We are talking about parents today, the K-12 parent that is a savvy education consumer, just like the university system parent. No one's going to be assigned to a college. And parents today demand the same thing, and they demand it from you all. I've seen you come up with amazing programs and give parents choice. Charter schools are just another one of the choices. We work with plenty of districts that are our partners in raising student achievement, in raising money. They know that collaboratively we can do amazing things. But as long as we continue to be them versus us and us versus them, we're never going to move forward. So I'm asking you, like, let's work collaboratively. Let's put the word charter aside. Just like no one mentions magnet, and magnet programs are going to get some money. This is about students, public school students. By the way, I'm also a charter school mom of 2. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I come before you as a mother of the most beautiful
Speak
princess
in the microphone.
who is 7 years old,
And your name, please.
Lana Ann Marsh. On any good day, she battles for mental disabilities. If it wasn't for her school, where she goes, Renaissance Charter Central Palm, and her teacher, Ms. Charles, Ms. Diaz, and Ms. Gray, her ASE coordinators, to pick up the slack where public schools unfortunately failed my daughter, and my daughter lost a year of school, her first grade year. Second grade has been all about catching up. If it wasn't for these schools, I wouldn't be able to hold a job where I work at the state attorney's office and practice as well. My husband is a cop. My daughter battles schizophrenia every day. No one talks about mental disability, and I'll be the only one here. I don't want to be that parent 5, 10 years down the road, and I'm not speaking it into my daughter's life, to be on the news and said, I implored the school board to please put police presence on campus, to please give these teachers that work their fingers to the bone, that help my little Josephina manage her daily capabilities with ADHD as well, low spectrum autism, and I can blurt out 3 other personality disorders that she has. And we don't have one mental disability in our family previously. But my princess bounces between 4 to 5 classrooms every day, and these teachers love her, and they make her feel normal and welcome because they accept her. They put their own money in their pockets to help her by putting Velcro under the desk so she can fidget with her ADHD, to help teach her timeouts, to let her call me on their personal cell phones when they run their data because she's having an emotional breakdown and 2 counselors and 3 teachers can't calm her down. Charter schools deserve every penny if afforded to them. And I don't know what charter school starts in August and ends in December, but I'm pretty sure my 16-year-old would love that one. It's not fair. It's just not. If we have this chance to excel, at least give it a term, or I don't know how it properly works in election period. I don't know the right terminology, but give it a try. See if improvements are done. See if good is done with the money. Allocate it as you will, but here where the feedback, where it's lacking, where it can be improved. Just give our kids a fighting chance, because I choose charter because public failed my daughter. It failed my 16-year-old son, and I'm a charter parent probably for life, as well as my 2.5-year-old son. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much.